Hi, Laura Wansek here. I'm going to do a walkthrough of my finally completed 2018 Week in the Life album. So I can't remember if there were multiple album options, but I got this one. And I actually ran out of black number stickers, so I just put this teal one on, and I'm hoping that I can either dig deeper in my stash or maybe in the future find a black one, but for now I feel like it's fine. So it opens up with these cork numbers that I just used the oval for the 0 because I thought that was kind of fun. And then I did one of the silk screens actually with white paint on that one. And then I have these transparency dividers that are actually from a few years back that I didn't use, and they've been waiting. So instead of getting the ones this time, I went ahead and just used these, which I really like them a lot. So that worked out nicely. So one of the things that I repeated throughout the album is an opening photo for each day that's behind the transparency divider using this digital stamp. And I actually did my Week in the Life the week before everybody else did it. So the dates that Allie had filled in, kind of pre-filled in, didn't work for me. So I went in Photoshop and used a different font and changed some of these. I used the erase tool and just put in different, like I added April and the number 30, which wasn't part of it. So if you're wondering about that. And this is a breakfast sandwich that I get more often than I should from Tim Hortons. And actually it was a horizontal picture, but I just used the clone stamp to extend the wall for this photo. Because when I originally took it, I was envisioning that it would just be part of it, but then I ended up wanting it as the full opening photo. I love these transparency numbers, transparency days. I can't find my words. It's almost 9 o'clock, so maybe I'm tired. And then this is actually from a kit from like a million years ago. This is from the AM PM story kit, if anybody remembers that. This is, I had used the PM one for a layout and I had this AM one waiting. And so I was really excited to finally use it. And you'll notice throughout the layout, and this is true last time I did Week in the Life too, that the beginning of the week tends to have a little bit more documenting than the rest. I'm actually going to show you here. You can kind of see like, well, you probably can't because these are divided, but if you could, you'd see that like Monday takes up a larger chunk than all the other days. So just kind of the way this project goes. I think it's common to kind of lose steam, but I mean, it's fine because the stories are still getting down, and a lot of the stuff on the first few days is stuff that happens every day as well. This is putting my daughter's shoes on, all the bags. I'm always carrying bags into work. Setting our alarm, that was a detail that I really wanted to capture because it's a daily routine. And we get these pictures from my daughter's school. They just send us every so often. So I was excited to include those. And I used a variety of, you'll see throughout this, I don't just use the Week in the Life product. I use some cards from Story Kits, and I think there might even be a few from other brands. On the Monday night, we did we had a conference with my daughter's teacher, and this was the conference form. So I just slipped it in a 6x8 page protector. I do videos with my best friend almost every single day, so I did a screenshot of her for that. This was my daughter running to my husband when we got to school for our parent-teacher conference. I really love that shot. And this was dinner. There's some self-timer shots that I set up. This one of all of us, kind of, they were working on a project and I set it up so that I could get them. And then this is doing the dishes. And then this is another one where I extended the floor. So this is us, me and my daughter, down in our basement playing Legos. And the picture originally cut off like right here, but I just extended the floor so that I could put journaling there. Because it was actually not a very good photo. It was reverse camera and kind of grainy because there's not a lot of natural light down there. So I thought, well, I don't want it to be a full 4x6 photo because it's not very good quality. So I just made it a 2x3 and then extended the floor. And I did the same over here. I couldn't decide between these two shots. So I thought, well, I'll just do both and then I can do it for all the journaling. So again, repeating it for Tuesday. This is my daughter's hair underneath our blanket, not wanting to get out of bed. Our commute, getting out the door. Again, I'm always carrying 1,000 bags. So just some routine at work. I'm sure a lot of people have this problem, but I have a job where I can't really take photos of what I do because I'm a therapist. So I just kind of have to come up with creative ways to document my work day. And taking a walk, trying to get outside. This was a photo that I took. Actually, this is not chronologically, this is not chronological because this was actually the first photo that I took after we got to work. So actually this should be over here, but it doesn't really matter. Daily shots, like I was so excited the dishes were done. This is a quote, you have to read the journaling to know what this means, but this is a quote from one of the videos from my friend that we made. And this is a screenshot of our text thread where it's the video I sent her and then all the videos that she sent me. And so what I did is just blew it up and then cut it this way and then put all the text about us doing that in there. Gone out to dinner with a friend of mine. I really love this card a lot. It was really fitting because she showed up to dinner wearing a shirt with the logo of the restaurant we were at, which was totally not on purpose, and we thought it was really funny. So, and then the nighttime routine of story time. Smelling a pretty tree in our yard. Originally, when I took this photo, it was actually upside down. It was the other way. And when I went to put this embellishment on, I really didn't like the way it looked. And then I thought, oh, I should flip it upside down. So I was excited that I thought to do that. I saw that Allie in her album did a lot of wrapping around embellishments. So I did that for this. And if you have Photoshop, there's tutorials linked on her blog post about it that are pretty helpful. I actually used a few different tutorials to figure it out. This is the window out of my office, looking out onto campus. This is a shot from my desk. I held up my camera pretty high to get this full section of my desk. Taking a walk again. I love all of these flowers on the ground. I thought they were pretty. And then for these two ovals, I just adhered them to a piece of transparency. I tried just slipping them in, but then they kept kind of like floating around and it was bothering me. So I adhered them to a transparency and they're a little bit more secure. Again, more flowers that I saw when I would take a walk. And then this is a Brandy Kincaid card, I think from one of her monthly releases on her website. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. I loved finding ways to use these plastic words. And you can kind of see the adhesive underneath here, but it's fine. I used some patterned paper because, you know, putting this album together is always like a really big puzzle and kind of figuring out exactly, you know, where to put things and how it's all going to go is hard. So a lot of times I'll just do it and then I'll figure it out later. Like I had no idea that I was going to put that there. I thought, well, I'll just leave like an inch of space and just kind of hope for the best. And thankfully that worked out there. And this text really isn't aligned that straight, but it's fine. This was a moment where my daughter had a tantrum and I did not handle it well because I was just like not in the mood for it, which not that anybody's ever in the mood for a tantrum, but I was especially not in the mood right then because this is a week of being really, really busy at work. So I come home just like completely exhausted. And I handled the tantrum really poorly, but whenever she has a tantrum and I handle it poorly, we always kind of sit down and talk about it and like apologize to each other. And so I laid my camera down on a timer before we did our apology, and I thought I would capture that. And I like how it's still kind of private, like you can't really see much. It's not up close, but it kind of gives the idea of kind of getting down on her level and talking to each other. This is me making dinner for her and then her eating it. Walking on the treadmill. And then in my craft room. And then just a shot of our kitchen. We always have King of Queens on in the kitchen. And I like how there's some dishes here that show kind of the routine of, you know, we get her dishes from school and then we have to, you know, I like that kind of rhythm of the day. And this, you know, is just one of my favorite photos from the day. That's kind of how I picked my like headline photo as my favorite photo from the day. I did a shot like this, a similar shot last year for Week in the Life, and last year was actually my first year doing Week in the Life, so I was excited to have some things that I repeated that I'm hoping to kind of do every year. So, yeah, that's what that is. This was a very real life moment of my daughter not wanting, she was upset about all the shorts, so capturing that felt important. Again, more shots of me at my desk, just self-timer. And then this is lunch and dinner with a friend, a coworker. My husband has violin lessons. This was a funny little story about how he is taking violin lessons and he was finished his first book. And he said, you need to take my picture for the album. And then he said, how would like an awkward little kid pose? Because, you know, it's kind of like a little kid thing to finish your first book. So I don't know if that made any sense, but it was a cute moment is the point of the story. I really like this shot because, you know, refrigerator, that's like a really interesting thing, I think, to look back on years to come. I actually took a picture of my refrigerator back in 2006, and I was looking at it the other day, and it was so interesting to see it, and kind of some of the things that are different, some of the things that are the same, just how things change over time can be really interesting. I really love this transparency. A shot of my office wall, shot of my clipboard, and every Friday we have staff meetings. This is kind of my scene. Going out to lunch with coworkers, which is extremely yummy. Every day, the entire week, I took a picture, well, every weekday, I took a picture of the building where I work with this tree in the foreground, and I really like how you can see it bloom and then fade, because this part of the week was more stormy. Like, I also like how you can kind of see the weather. And all of these flowers that bloomed kind of washed away, and then these little stickers say the day of the week. So I was pretty excited about that. Picking my daughter up from school. Pizza night on Friday night. My daughter actually requested that we all sit on the same side of the table, so I was pretty excited about that. She's thinking like a scrapbooker. Movie time. So Saturday of this week, I don't know why I just hit that right there. I did my first 5K, me and my husband and a couple of friends. And so most of the day is telling the story of that. So that's kind of fun. Getting little details like signing my registration form, and then you see I like how taking a photo like this captures some really cool information, like obviously the event, what we were, you know, the year, some information about me here on the registration form. It's kind of a creative way to get some information in. Just a lot of journaling without much embellishment. These were the, what are these called? Whatever we wore, you can see them there. I don't really know what they're called, but I was excited to keep those after the race with our medals. Then we went out to lunch, and this is just some pattern paper. Like, I looked at this and I thought, oh, I need to embellish it. And then I thought, you know what? No, I don't. It's okay. We went out to lunch at Wahlburgers, which was really good. And then to visit a friend, and then out to dinner at Cracker Barrel. And then I really liked this shot of breakfast and this flower thing that I absolutely love that I got off of Etsy from my husband. Again, just pattern paper with a simple embellishment, but I like how it kind of pulls all the color in and makes everything pop a little bit more. I love this, like, in the morning, you know, before we're even out of bed shot. And again, I did this on a transparency, but I didn't do one on the back because I think I had run out by then. For this, I just used an alphabet stamp from Allie Edwards. And it was funny because, oddly enough, this actually was a Sunday where our pastor had asked me to take some photos of the service. And I was like, okay. And so I was really excited to do that. It worked out nicely because I don't typically take photos in church. It doesn't feel very appropriate. My daughter giving her Sunday school teacher a present. And then lunch with my dad. Just kind of the routine of hanging out, doing some dancing. This was a really fun moment. My daughter, while we were downstairs, randomly said, "What's scrapbooking about?" And I was so pumped. And I explained it to her, and she said she wanted to do it. So then I gave her some stuff, and this is her hanging her first scrapbook layout on the wall. and being so proud of it. My husband showing my daughter that he got her something off Amazon Prime, which was a sun hat, which she then wore for them to go outside and plant their pumpkins for the fall. And then while we were outside on the front deck, I noticed that I could get a shot of me through the window. And so I was excited about that. Actually, a friend of mine, Summer Triumpo, I don't really know how to say her last name, did a shot like this. And I thought it was really cool. So that reminded me that she had done that and I wanted to copy her. And then this was actually